this is one of the more questionable design decisions, even though I know a huge amount of people are going to disagree with me when I say this. But when they made procs able to proc off of every tick,
Yeah.
that kind of opened up a can of worms, because even though they claim they lowered the proc chances, you can get back-to-back-to-back procs, and the amount of things that proc things is things you wouldn't think. Like, for example, Eye for Weakness. Let's give this a few casts. Okay, maybe they fixed this.
Alright. It was proccing on that then before.
Yes, Eye for Weakness was able to proc Mandarin.
Alright.
But yeah, the thing about Mandarin is basically, I mean, I can throw down Vortex and use Energy Pulse and get tons of procs.
Yeah.
The thing about the proc items is they scale with your stats and synergies. So like the one that does the Acid Cloud that does 33 energy damage per second. It gets multiplied by the 1.2% or 1.20% bonus from Amazing Energy. And then my synergies, where I get 9% more energy damage, also multiplies that. And just procs are honestly, they're kind of out of control right now, if you want my honest opinion, but it's nothing I'd consider game breaking. They're just extremely strong.
Right. It opens up a lot of options though.
Yeah, it opens up a lot of build options. I mean, my Scarlet Witch guide, who is basically the other character I play, I use a pure proc build on her, and it's insane amount of damage. It's more damage than Cable.
AoE or also single target?
Single target, even if Cable has Eye for Weakness, Scarlet Witch can pump out bigger single target damage with the proc build.
Alright. We're gonna discuss that maybe later, but that's awesome. I had a question in the chat, let me check. Gaves asks, how do you feel about Matt's Arrowhead artifact?
It's still broken, if you want my honest opinion, but Gaz seems to be okay with everyone having Infinity Spirit, so... That artifact it's only supposed to return spirit when you apply a bleed with a basic attack. The first time it bugged, non-spirits were applying the bleed, and it still only redeemed spirit on the application. The second time the artifact bugged, everything was proccing it, and it was still only in the initial application. And then the most recent bugged version of it, which everyone's familiar with, is everything could proc the bleed, and every tick of a bleed was proccing it. So, yeah, here. Actually, let me switch to Scarlet Witch, and I'll show it off real quick. Yeah, it's honestly, it's overpowered, because, I mean, you can have Infinity Spirit with it. But if I just start doing this, I mean, you can watch how my spirit, it's just, my little blue bar is barely trickling down. I'm just spamming all these different spells.
I cannot see your spirit. Maybe I'm...
you can see about how much he's casting, though.
Yeah, you might not have the UI enabled to see players' health and spirit bars, but yeah, it's just, Moss is ridiculous, the spirit returns on it.
That looks amazing.
Looks like she's doing like an orchestra little thing there. Conducting an orchestra.
You can also see how good procs are, because things keep on just proccing procs back to back. But yeah, Mott's is kind of honestly out of control. It's giving people infinite spirit still.
Alright, I got the spirit on, so maybe if you could show it once more?
Oh, yeah, let me switch back to her.
For some reason it bugs out for me sometimes, now I see your name twice, but it's fixed.
So yeah, you can see my spirit bar. Let me turn on a certain power that makes it even more. I mean, you can see how my spirit bar is just not even going down hardly.
Oh my god. If people want to see us level Scarlet Witch during the charity event, you can also still choose Scarlet Witch. Looks awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, Spirit Region's just crazy. And then you can see all the multiple procs going off also.
Yeah, you're full again, yeah. You're constantly at 90%. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that's just using the heroic version of it. The super heroic, I think it's like slightly more spirit returns.
All right. Let's continue. We talked about the medal. So what are you putting on your costume?
For affixes, damage rating.
Oh yes, I got that right.
Yeah, it is the biggest source of damage. Because of the suppression mechanic, where you only have only 60% of your critical value on bosses. And the reason why damage rating is just so much better than any other stat is because it's multiplied by your like fighting strength and energy stats. It's multiplied on crits. It's multiplied by synergies. Whereas critical damage, it also goes by a coefficient. Like energy pulse has a 0.26 damage coefficient, a 0.365 crit damage coefficient. So I mean, just knowing those two numbers, it looks like it's better. But the thing is, critical damage is not affected by player stats. So like the 1.25 and 1.2 I get from energy, that won't affect crit damage, whereas it will affect flat damage rating. It's not multiplied on a crit. The crit damage is factored in after a crit, so it won't be multiplied by the 2.3 or 1.5 multiplier. And where it's only active on crits, it doesn't do anything for you if you're not scoring critical hits, which goes back to boss suppression, where you only have 60% of your critical chance. So, I mean, basically, you can say that critical damage and critical rating operate at 60% of their normal values when you're doing bosses. Right. Whereas damage rating always retains 100% of its value.
Right. Thanks for that explanation. I know a lot of people on the forums also still wonder which one is better, or they don't know the exact reasons, but you just summarized that perfectly. So
yeah, thanks. I made a big thread on it a while back. That should probably bump up just for clarity's sake.
All right. Yeah. If you bump that up, I'm sure people will catch up on that now watching now. So, hey, 87 asks, are you looking forward to any of the new heroes that are announced?
Doctor Strange is what I'm looking forward to, because I think there's a lot of good potential they could do with him being, Sorcerer Supreme, with his basically magic of like illusion and like all the different kind of spells he can cast, and like being able to tap into like demons and whatnot with his black magic. Oh, that's something he rarely does. But I think Doctor Strange probably have the potential to be the most fun. Magic would be good also if they didn't make the same mistake they did with Emma, which means where Emma is basically forced into using a pet, and it used to be the biggest source of her damage, regardless of your spec. Which is what I hope they avoid with Magic, where pets are basically optional and they're not the biggest source of player damage.
Alright. Fnatic asks, is 8.3 the cap for attack speed on Energy Pulse?
No, it scales with your attack speed. I only have plus 21% attack speed, so it can get higher. If you use a Cosmic Might proc, will bump it up as well, as does Captain's Auras. Yeah, there's no hard cap on it, just a soft cap where it just starts diminishing extremely quick.
Alright. So is it a valid option on your costume, or is it not?
No, damage rating just is flat out better. You can get up to 1000 damage rating on a level 60 costume.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, I got it on grade 4 because I was running out of money. I just didn't have any luck for it. But alright. And of course you talked about you should go for fighting and energy if you choose a Lemuria relic, right?
Yep, fighting and energy is if you want to min-max your damage per second. And use Lemuria, which does surpass the lifesteal core once you break 100 some stacks of it. Basically, you just want to use the lifesteal core if you're lacking on Lemuria relics.
Alright. Insignias, do you have an insignia? Which one?
I just have a green Eric O'Grady insignia because all the insignia drops I get that are not green in Eric O'Grady are just usually garbage. But Eric O'Grady is pretty much the best in slot insignia because the proc on it stacks. So like say I have a 249 damage rating insignia proc, and then you're also using an Eric O'Grady with the same proc, well those would stack when we both crit, so we'd both have, 588 damage rating aura.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's It's a very strong insignia if you have a party of 5 people using it because all the procs stack on top of each other.
That sounds amazing. I don't know if you find them, but I don't seem to find a lot of them though, or I miss them just because they have the same color.
Yeah, they should probably use a different coloring scheme, but they already use so many different colors that it'd be hard to really pick out something that would stand out for insignias.
Yeah, I think
Someone mentioned yesterday on my stream they should add the arrow like they do for the uniques and whatnot for the insignias.
Yeah, they should actually, honestly, I think they should add the arrow also for cosmics and relics,
Yeah.
as well as insignias, because I know there's countless relics I've missed where I hear the noise off screen, but there's nothing pointing to it.
Yeah, I asked him to it, and he to Doomso when he was online. He actually replied with, "Do you really want that?" And I said, "Yes. I make it optional. Let people turn it on or off if they don't want it." But we'll see. Maybe it one day arrives. Who knows?
Yeah, it'd be a nice little good quality of life tweak.
Yeah. Fnatic asks, "What's the eternal cooldown on Relic of Lemuria?" I don't think it has one, but
It's a 0.1 second internal cooldown.
all right.
At least I think it is. It was either the Lifesteal Core or Lemuria that has an internal cooldown, but I honestly forget which. But I know that it used to be a 0.5 second internal cooldown for healing like that, but now it's only 0.1 second.
Alright.
So you can essentially get 5 heals per second. And I mean, with Lemuria, my 88 stack is 66 health. So that's like 380 health per second, which is not bad at all.
Gabe has a question there.
Yeah. Since you have a Meta Sensory on with percentage attack speed, is it actually higher than 8.3 attacks per second? Your energy pulse?
No. The only thing that is not calculated on your paper doll is the attack speed bonus from having unearthly fighting. The attack speed from Meta Sensory is accurately reflected.
Right.
Just the only thing that isn't accurately reflected is the 5% from Unearthly. It does reflect in the tooltip because if I take off my costume, my speed goes down to 8.2, but it won't reflect on your character paper doll because where it's a specific rating.
Alright, there you have your answer, Gaves. So now we only have the 5 weapons left, or the not weapons, but the 5 inventory slots. Maybe you could just go over them, which stat you're looking for, and also if there is a unique for that option, which one would you prefer it over a good cosmic or not?
Could you repeat that? My sound just cut out for a second.
Alright, yeah. Now we have like the weapon left and the last 4 slots. If you could go over them and then tell me which stat you're looking for, and also if there is a unique for them, do you think it's better than a great rolled cosmic or not?
Yeah. For your weapon, your slot 1 Hyper Viper Beam is the best in slot weapon by far. Because, well, to give you the stats on mine, it is 808 damage rating, which is higher than any cosmic can roll. It gives a crit damage, which is, I've been over crit damage. But it also gives attack speed, crit rating, then the Hyper Viper Beam proc, which was the one I showed earlier that looks like the living laser proc, which is not going off. No, that was that one, the little purple
Alright.
one.
Oh, the first one was the cosmic one, yeah.
Yeah, the first one was the Starfall proc. But yeah, the HVB proc is really good, because I mean, it's the 9500 to 14k little proc, which can crit, multiplied by your stats, blah blah blah, really good proc. And then the other thing that makes Hyper Viper Beam is in addition to the base damage rating roll, it also gains an energy damage and a range damage roll, and since Energy Pulse and Vortex are both tagged as energy damage and range damage, it's essentially my Hyper Viper Beam is basically an additional 1200 or 1300 damage rating to those two abilities, which is way higher than anything a Cosmic can give, in addition to a +6 to my Soldier powers, which is Energy Pulse and Vortex.
Yeah, wow.
So it's the best in slot weapon by far. The other thing that I'd consider using is I'm actually wanting to test this because of how strong procs are, is using a Hellfire ammo, but haven't been lucky in getting one of those.
Alright.
As far as the bodysuit slot goes, again, unique